Hey, what's up guys, it's Uz here, and I just wanted to do a review of the Dr. Kim DK50 headlamp. I had the DK40 before, which is the original one. Unfortunately that broke after many years of service, and now I've got the DK50. Couldn't quite stretch to the DK60, but I just wanted to show you the differences on the DK50 compared to the DK40 and whether it's worth getting. So I actually got this directly from Korea, so a lot cheaper than you can get in the UK. And yeah, it was definitely worth it from that. So the cost that I had there for this headlamp is approximately £580. In the UK it's about £800 basically, that you get the basic part for, and if you want to get the additional loops and things on top, then it's more expensive. So let's look at the case there first. The case is different to the original headlamp. It's a lot more substantial and sturdy. You've got this very kind of solid case here, which is very, I mean, I'm fairly strong, and this is quite difficult to compress. It's a lot better padded than the old one, and it's basically to protect the kind of headlamp underneath. So let's open that and I'll show you guys what it's like on the inside. So on the inside here we have our headlamp, and you can already see that the design of this is a little bit different, in that the case is much more substantial, mainly because of the fact that this headlamp part only kind of comes up to, we'll take this out there in a minute, to around 30 degrees or so, as opposed to the DK40 where it's almost flat against this arm here. And we've got space there for 2 batteries. I've just put this in, which is my loops. We also get some spare connectors here, which you can use for if you do composites, which is a long time ago there for me, and some spare other connectors there as well, just in case your connectors kind of wear out. So they've got the filtering ones and the other types there, and we've got our adapter there as well. So let's take this out and then you can see that. So straight away there are 2 main differences between the DK50 and the DK40. You can see that this arm here only comes up to about 30 degrees, and one of the big problems there with the DK40 was the fact this arm came all the way up here when you folded it up, and then obviously you had to fold it all the way down. So that kind of movement of this light all the way down caused some of those connectors to become worn. It happened there in mine, it's happened there in other people's that we've kind of seen. So now this connector only comes up to 30 degrees, and you still have the same dual click when it comes down. So look at this here, 1 click. So 1 click here, and then a 2nd click there, and then we have that in the position that we basically want, right? So we have our same position there as we had there before with our DK40s, and dual lights with 0 shadow there as well. Here we've got a same joint that we had there before, but it is a bit more substantial, and also a more substantial joint up here. So if you see on the DK40, this joint here is much less substantial, and this arm here is, if I can get this in the correct position, this arm here, the connection is much less substantial. It's much more sturdy in this part and this part, and these are the 2 parts that generally would break. Now there is a 3rd part that would also break here as well, which we zoom up here, is this part here. And you basically, this is for your adjustment there of size of the head, and this was a very common breakage point here. Now if you see, they've kind of changed this a little bit in order to make it so that it's much less likely to break. So now you've got a much more substantial toggle here, but if you look at this ramp that is coming up in this position here, let's zoom this in if we can see. Yeah, so if you look at this ramp here, this is much more substantial and can hold on to the toggle much better, but it also means that it's much less likely to break. So I think when it comes to the Dr. Kims, they've looked at potential things there that could go wrong and worked on them, namely this joint and that joint there, and this joint here as well, where things break. The other two things about the Dr. Kims were this area where the battery pack is, that it used to have a little arm that kind of goes down here. So you used to have a support band which goes in this direction. You can see that on my other video, the Dr. Kims, which basically would hold to the back of your head. This has been changed, so it's basically a much more kind of flatter profile here, and actually, even though there's no padding on it, feels better to the back of the head. I know the Ergonomics has got one with padding on it, but even without padding, it feels pretty good. And also looking at the front here, this area has become broader, and because of that, there still got the same, doesn't have a great deal of padding on it there and there, but the actual band is broader, so you don't get the pinching that is going on around the head there. Now, obviously, it'll be interesting to know how that would affect different head sizes, but for my head size, it's absolutely perfect. And then we've got a redesign here of the battery pack with the gray around there, and this is much more, as opposed to completely black, they've broken it up there a bit with a bit of gray here and here. And it would be interesting if they offered different inserts for these different kind of colors and stuff like that. Doesn't seem to at the moment. The battery case here is pretty much the same as it was there before, and you get a much better connection there to the battery around that site. But a lot of this electronics is exposed. So if we go in here, you can see that the wheel's exposed, where you adjust the brightness and also the connectors, which wasn't in the DK40. I actually think this is an error. I don't think any of this should be exposed, especially when we've got water around and blood and all that kind of stuff flying around. I think this should be completely sealed. But I'm just wondering whether this was an area that used to overheat. And you can see here, obviously there's some vents here, and I think they've done that to stop it overheating. And then again, we have our adjustment wheel here. So I would say this is a real good improvement over the DK40s, and definitely for the price, well worth getting. Let me know your opinions, guys, and yeah, maybe I'll do one on the DK60 when I can afford it. See you later.